Hey, my name is Jared Moon, and I'm part of a group of underground athletes you've probably never even heard of before. We don't rely on fancy equipment for training, and most of us don't even have gym memberships. In fact, our motivation comes from within. You see, we have jobs, families, and responsibilities, but we still have big goals, and they aren't getting achieved at a global gym. For that reason, we have to do things differently. Our training has to be smarter. We don't have every piece of equipment known to man or a ton of time to train, and we don't need it, because we are achieving amazing things without it. So how do we do it? If you ask your average personal trainer or gym goer, they'd call us crazy. Yet we're seeing results better than most every single day. And it's happening by blending mental training with physical training and becoming an athlete. What we call, and welcome to, Garage Gym Athlete.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. Jared Moon here with Joe Courtney. What's up, Joe?
Hello.
And Chris, man, how you doing?
Great. Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, it's so we're doing a re-attack. This is the first season. We'll probably start doing these more as we produce, as we publish more episodes and more seasons. But it's just good to catch up with athletes, see what they've done since we last spoke, any updates they have, new directions they're heading, anything like that. So Chris, you were in season 7. If you guys haven't listened to that, it was a really phenomenal episode back in season 7. You guys can go back and listen to it. But for anyone who's new here, maybe hasn't caught any of the previous podcast episodes, can you just catch us up with an intro, who you are, what you do for a living, and how you train?
Yes, no problem. So Chris Ruano, I'm 42 years old, and I work for a fire department here in Southern California. And I no longer work in the stations for the past decade or so. I just specifically focus on our wildland division of our department. So supervising and leading wildland fire crews, was running inmate crews for a while, and now foreman on our paid crews. So similar, as I talked before on the last podcast, I can catch you up, but that type of wildland incident, hot shot crew type of work, although we're not a hot shot crew. But that kind of work, just working out long, hard days in the summer, and you don't really know what's coming up next. So I talked last time about just how we train for that, and really tied it to the leadership aspect of leading folks that I work with in PT and my crew members, and trying to get a program together for them. So that's kind of who I am, and then what I do for a living. And then I got 2 teen boys that I'm raising, and happily married. And just like a lot of folks I see on the Facebook group and everything, kind of at that similar part in life where we're just working out in our garage gyms or fire stations or wherever we can get it in outdoors, but just keeping going with good programming and pushing forward as athletes.
Awesome, man. And I do appreciate the update. Now, let's do a quick tour for anybody who, if you're listening to the audio, Chris, if you could call out as much as you can. If you do want to catch the video, these are typically published to YouTube as well, so you guys could actually see his garage gym and check out everything he has, man. But if you want to give us a quick update tour of what's on the inside.
Sure. So I've been building up the gym for about 8-9 years. So little by little, at first, most of it was being made. I think even you've talked about before, Jared, when everybody was first getting started, there wasn't a lot out there. You kind of had to make stuff. Now it's pretty readily available on Amazon and things. But so I do have so start on this side. I got a rower and then some squat stands that I made out of some 3-inch steel. And then as an attachment for that, a little DIY was I had some of those cheap barbells that the sleeves were kept coming off. So when I could afford a good barbell, I saved those sleeves, excuse me, and I welded them onto a bar, and they pin onto those squat stands there behind me. So made That's a little crazy. Like Matador dip bar just by using those. Those are perfect size grip, those 2-inch grips for the barbell sleeves. Worked amazing, out great.
So do you have welding equipment?
Well, I work at work. There's welding equipment.
Okay.
And, so there's 24-hour shifts a lot of times, and learning how to tinker and work on things around the camp. Practice on some stuff. I'll buy some steel or some scrap, and then just figure stuff out before I'll actually, try the welding skills on something that we would actually use around work. So just brush up on skills, and then I'll make stuff here.
Yeah, I think that if in the garage gym athlete world, if you're going to go DIY and you know how to weld, you could build some really cool stuff. Like you built your own squat stands, which I know we talked about last time a little bit. It just impresses me because it looks like legitimate, like Rogue Fitness, squat stands as far as like capacity and load and everything like that. They look really awesome.
Oh yeah, thanks. And I think that definitely DIY, like when you look a lot of that stuff on, on Rogue and all these other companies, it's pretty simple. It's just the time and the materials. And of course, they're cranking them out so they can manufacture them and be able to market them. But if you're just making it for yourself, definitely you can just look at a design online and get the measurements and just make stuff up. And that's part of the fun part, whether you're doing it by yourself or with the kids and family, but it's cool always to build stuff.
And as long as you can trust yourself with keeping those welds so they don't pop.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. There's the safety margin there. And then I got now you're seeing in the garages, a lot of folks have those collapsible stands, but before that it was just the pull-up rig. And I got that anchored to the floor in the garage as well. It's a 2-car garage. I still got plenty of room for the car. And then this kind of cool. I got a GHD that is a single point mount. So it's made to actually pin on squat stands. And then the part where you put your weight on the GHD is just one little post. If you could see it there on the video.
Yeah.
But so instead of pinning it to the squat stand, I just took a piece of steel and bolted it to the wall, and it just stays fixed there. But you can see it's really tight space, but we're able to get it in. My wife really likes to use that a lot in her workouts too.
And the GHD, where'd that come from?
That was Extreme Training Equipment out here west, and they make American made, just a smaller little operation. But no, that worked out great just for space saving. And then of course, because it's hardly any material for that, it was really cheap, like half the price of a GHD.
Yeah, I think awesome. I've seen a lot of people use them anchored to the wall or flush against the wall, which I think is a big space saver because some of those bases are really, really huge. And then the back padding and all that moving is really huge as well. But if you can just pin it and unpin it against the wall, it's pretty smart, somewhat economical.
Yeah, it's worked out great. I leave mine there, but if you were tight on space, yeah, it's no problem just to pull the pin and pull it away from the wall. So
that's becoming really popular too, that like collapsible. I think the people who I think the company is PRX Performance or something, they have I don't know if they're fully selling it now, but they had the reverse hyper collapsible into your wall, which I was like, dang, because I have a reverse hyper and that is
it's 2-band lift.
It's a footprint. Like it is a serious part of my garage gym. It like prevents me from wanting to get other things. I was like, well, where am I going to put it? So I think collapsible stuff like that's the way of the future here.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I've been kind of keeping my eye on that one too, that collapsible reverse hyper and GHD. Maybe we'll try to make something like that we could use at work. So we'll try and figure it out.
That's awesome, man. So we're going into the summer now. Update me on kind of what you're planning to do with your training. I know we have a lot of firefighters in our community. We were just on a call this morning where there's like kind of a coaching call for our fuels course, and 2 of the guys there were firefighters. And a big thing that we're talking about in that course is getting sleep and trying to manage their training and all this stuff, because I know the schedules can be crazy and hectic and all that other stuff. But going into summer, man, what's your training looking like and what are you up to?
All right. So just some background on me as well, if you guys didn't catch up on the last episode, but I have through End-of-3 Fitness Garage Gym Athlete, I did take the coaching and programming course, and that was great. It really helped me dial in and make programming for my career and the type of lifestyle that I need to live and be ready for, as I talked before, on leading my team. And then I've also took the digital programming side hustle course that you put out last year, Jared. And that was huge as well, as I was putting together these programs, just kind of thinking, maybe at some point, I could start to, market that and push that out and get athletes on board and help train folks that are, training for the same thing that I'm working on and that I build and create for. So, and that was a great course for any of those that are checking it out or thinking about it. For me personally, I never had a creative outlet. I was very much, like a lot of us type A's, just doers. We're very performance based. and I never ever had a creative outlet kind of thing. So for me, it's been that I enjoy like thinking about it and putting together planned programming as you guys taught us to actually do it, not just random, but have a goal and something that you're working towards, and things that are working on that you're important to you or important to the job that you need to do. So that really helped me out a lot. And just kind of, I enjoy the creative aspect of it as well. And then of course, performing the workouts and seeing how that fleshes out and truthing it out in the workouts. So, so for summer, again, being a firefighter, our department's really large. We got about 3,000 badge personnel, and overwhelmingly most, of course, are working in fire stations, you know, that year-round EMS calls, fires, and car accidents, and any kind of rescues that come out. And then being in Southern California, we got the wildfires, which is where I specialize, and that's kind of the work that I do. So going into summer, it's always challenging because no matter what programming you have, no matter what programming you've thought about doing, inevitably you're going to get put on strike teams and be gone for a couple weeks at a time or months at a time. You know, a lot of our Forest Service brothers, those guys are gone for months or the whole summer, you know, and they don't really come back. So knowing that that's going to happen, I'm just trying to put together some programming that I could use. I've really looked at your one-man kettlebell, and I know you have a body weight program that you're doing as well, a cycle. So kind of using that as inspiration. But so I'm going to program out a few months for the whole summer where I can get by with body weight, bands, and a kettlebell sandbag that I can pack away. They're real small. I can fill that if I fill it with some sand or dirt if I want to do some kettlebell work, and it just packs into a bag. So there's no problem there, but also just messing around with the bands as well. I think I can get by for a couple months, putting some program like that. So I'm almost finished with the programming side of it and getting ready to start that July 1 as we roll into our fire season. So, and then also for the guys in the station or other athletes, I think having a good plan for the summer, like if you know you're going to be traveling, if you know you're going to be hitting the road, if you know you're not going to have access to places like your gym, like you guys in the military, you guys get deployed a lot, but I think having a plan that you can go to and be able to still not just hit the random workouts, but have a plan towards goals and progression and still building strength. And I think with body weight, as I've been toying around with it, I really am going to focus a lot as well on one arm, one leg, balance, not so much gymnastics type stuff, but that body awareness, body position, flexibility, you know, really working the handstand, push-ups and pistol squats and things where without barbells and loading with weights that you can, you know, increase the load on your body in different ways. So, and then of course, conditioning, gonna keep pushing forward on the conditioning, make sure we're ready to go for the job.
That's awesome.
I saw that video for the Kettlebell Sandbag. That thing is really cool. That you put on, you're doing a beach workout, throwing it and stuff.
Oh,
like
yeah.
That. I feel like those need to be more.
How heavy does it go?
So the Kettlebell Sandbag, it's a small kettlebell. Let's see, I got some if you're on the video, you can see some stacked right near that green post there in the shot. But they go from about 25 fully just like bulging, and they about 45 pounds is what they say, but 40, it's a good 40 pounds. And it as in the last podcast, you guys know I really love sandbag training, but especially come summertime traveling, you know, you know, it'll probably void the warranty if you slam it on the buckles and things, but you really can. You can chuck them. So like reverse shot tosses, anything you would use a slam ball or a deep ball or just throwing stuff. When it comes to iron and weight plates and even kettlebells, and unless you're in the sand, you really can't throw that kind of stuff around a lot, but it's such a powerful movement being able to do throws and tosses and slams. So it's good to be able to kind of mix those in, but they're great. They have they got like a kettlebell handle, and you can do any kettlebell work like Turkish get-ups and those kinds of things, the swings. And then actually as a little bit of a hack when it comes to any of our athletes that are in garage gym that use those handles on sandbags and things, they're really a small grip. Well, they sell on Amazon, I think I bought them for $15, those fat grips. And it really gives it more of a barbell feel, or you can go even a little bit fatter and you just put those like silicone grips on those canvas straps, and then it's more like an actual handle. Get that forearm strength as well for farmer carries and things.
And where did you get those kettlebells, the Sandbag Kettlebells?
I like the brute force sandbags,
Okay.
the brute force kettlebells, or Sandbag Kettlebell, I think they call it. They run about, they are pricey because they're made in US, and that's something that, everybody's different. But if I have the choice, I'll save up a little bit extra coin if I can buy American made. I try to do that. But so they are pricey. I think they're around $70 for kettlebell.
Okay.
But they're, warranty wise, anything happens, as long as you're not dragging it behind a car or something like that, they've been real good.
Yeah.
I've swapped it out. Originally they came with like a buckle where you put the sand in and buckle clips. Now they're on a roll with a zipper, and there's nothing to break on it anymore. It's just a bag.
That's awesome, man. Now I'm going to hit on a couple of things, kind of moving backwards from some of your updates. So just in case, cause he mentioned it, but I didn't really say anything about it, was just our coaching certification and business course. So that's kind of all wrapped into one now. We do provide a coaching certification. And then something we, by request at the last year, middle of last year, we started getting some of our coaches who'd been through the course wanting more business information. So then we put together digital programming side hustle. And now you're doing your own side hustle from those two courses. So how's that going, man?
So I'm really right now kind of, it was great timing when the course came out. Again, being working in the wildland fire business, wintertime is the time I can really focus on that. Right now we're coming into, this is our season, so I don't have like a lot of free time, but everything I learned and really helped, as I said before, on creating workouts and seeing that I actually enjoy it. I've kind of come up with an idea of what I'm trying to build out. So for what I'm trying to do for our line of work and other people like me, or people trying to get into this line of work, I'm just trying to create a year-round program cycle where, it basically be like one cycle of, strength, like your shred, and, and then power development, strength endurance, and then this summertime, keeping it light with some body weight stuff. But if I can get us on a year-round thing that's going to work for the kind of the work that we're in, and we can stay consistent, that's really what I'm trying to create. And I've almost done building it out. So I'm kind of doing all the programming side. And then of course, I can be able to tweak it, and I'd love to be able to add videos like you guys do. It's just time, but I know that's what I want to do. I'm already looking forward to the winter off season when I do have more time to really, I should have all the framework done and the skeleton. So then it'll be time to just put it together and start marketing it. And then I believe it was the first class that you did back in the winter. And it's really been encouraging seeing some of the folks that were in that class taking it right along with me, and they're doing well, whether it's, was it physical therapy. I've seen some folks that I follow on Instagram, and they're doing really well. Kyle,
there are at least two guys who went from side hustle to, one guy's full-time, one guy's about to go full-time, so they've really, but they had nothing but time, you know what I'm saying? Like they weren't, they weren't locked down. Their jobs were actually part-time. So they're able to go side hustle to full hustle, in 6 to 8 months or whatever. But it is very time dependent. I was very much like you. So Into 3 Fitness side hustle for a long time, but I was active duty military. So it took me several years to develop, all the infrastructure and what we have now, but it was a side hustle for a long time. So I think you have a good approach going right now.
And I'm so blessed that, I enjoy doing it, but also knowing what I have before, as I was talking about leading the crew at work and being able to lead PTs, I have a whole group of people that, I put it on the app and they can do the workouts. So I have a test group basically that I work with, and I can get feedback and see how these work, and constantly tweaking and changing and updating like you guys do all the time. But it has been great. I really enjoy it. It's something that, as I have more time, I'll do more, but with free time, I still, it's a passion, and I enjoy kind of tweaking it and again, seeing those others that have done it and doing well.
Now hopping over to the bands, so I don't know if you were able to watch it, but this was last year sometime. We did an entire webinar on just bands and not accommodating resistant types of stuff. Some of it was, but mainly how you can use bands in your training. And I think if you have a good enough band that matches your strength level, you can do some serious work. Like, what kind of bands are we talking about, just so people are clear? And what kind of exercises are you trying to throw in with those when you're traveling?
Okay. So with the bands, and I did catch that. I caught that webinar that you did, and then also you had a guy on your Better Humanology podcast that was talking about bands, and he's more on the bodybuilding side and just training for that. But I started, so, just like a lot of us, if you're interested, you start watching YouTube videos and reading articles and checking stuff out and trying it out on yourself and incorporating it in your training. I have been using it in my last couple of cycles on the prehab side, on the prehab accessory. And then even on I have some full accessory sessions where it's just nothing but band work. I actually like that increasing resistance that, similar you get with an increasing load like chains or something. But so band wise, just I have rogue bands at varying thicknesses, and it just depends if it's going to be something like like a hip movement on a deadlifting or pulling day, such as like band pull throughs. You'll have a thicker band if you're going one arm, biceps, triceps, rows, things like that. It's going to be a lot smaller. And then of course also there's the smaller mini bands that you can place around your knees, or you can double up some of those longer thin ones. And then those like lateral steps and squats, just engaging that posterior chain, the glutes and hams while using the bands, hip bridges. Two band exercises that I would really recommend. They're super easy. You can do it as a prehab, but I mean, they're really good is, I like on pressing days, like a bench day, the band pull apart. So a small band. Yep. You just keep it spread out there, keep that constant tension on your scaps and shoulders. And then you're just doing like an air bench press. And on an arm day or a pressing day, that's just really good. It's just that little resistance, and you're just bench pressing in the air. That's a good one that I really like there. And another band one on core, but it's another pressing, is that Pallet Press or Pallet Press. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but it's over cables a lot. And you have an anchor on one side and just pull tension over there on the lateral core, and that thing's getting smoked already. And then you just start pressing that out with the band. There's so much you can do accessory wise. And then of course, tempo, if it's not heavy enough, you just change up the tempo to get the rep scheme. Say you're shooting for 15 reps, then and the band's not heavy enough, then you just drop the tempo slow enough to where that 15 becomes real difficult. So it's going to be a lot of personal adjustment on that cycle this summer, because everybody's different, and it's just kind of making it work. And as I said, travel wise, I plan on doing this. I do have a vacation plan this summer, and I'll be doing my workouts and probably filming them and posting them, just, showing that you can do them on the road and still get in your programming and stay on a consistent program if that's what you're trying to do. Yeah, man. I think that's really important. I have a lot of travel coming up, and I'm always kind of like, if I can't access the gym, I mean, I have a solid 4 weeks coming up where I really won't be home. So yeah, I'll hit the gym when and where I can. And then after that, it's down to what can I get done with similar, like what can I pack? And I typically very similar. I'm thinking, like, you may have convinced me I get one of those kettlebells, but I generally always travel with my heaviest, thickest rogue band now, just because some of it can be awkward at times, but you can step on that thing and wrap it around, not around your neck, but over your neck onto more of your traps, and you can do some pretty legitimate squats that way. You can do a lot of different exercises, lunges, and actually, because that's the thing. Like, you could do push-ups and air squats all day, right? But you want to try and get a little bit more stimulation than that. So bands are definitely my go-to when I'm traveling. I think a kettlebell or a bag, I think I definitely need to add that in, as long as you can find some sand, right? That's all that matters. Yeah. And again, vacation wise, I know I'm going to be like kind of a beach area, so I'll be able to fill that, throw it and drag it and do different things. And, and that's, but the bands definitely, I plan on doing that and body weight a little bit more, especially when we start going out on strike teams and going on incidents. It's like you guys, I know, Joe, you're planning for, or I don't know if you did it already, but you got like a race or something you're trying to plan for and get in. Is that correct?
I don't have anything on the dock yet. I've been trying to find one, and I think I'm leaning toward one of these mountain races where you just race and hike up a mountain and then back down, which are really, really cool. I think there's one in Colorado I'm shooting for, but it's just something that's kind of fun and challenging.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know, in our job, we get to PT outdoors, so we're doing a lot of trail running but it, kind of interesting and unique. And anybody else that, you know, as an athlete type of, in their profession, is like, this is our season that we train for. You know, we train year round. We do everything that we do, but it has to pay off right now in these summer months. It has to translate. You know, my guys can't be getting hurt. I can't get hurt, or it's pointless, right? It's irrelevant, everything that I'm doing. So, but also that, I think it's hard to miss days and stuff. And I know psychologically, when you're trying to be on a program and, oh, I'm a day behind, you know, what should I do? How am I going to catch up? Now I'm 2 days behind. Do I like double or triple up on the workouts?
Right.
I know for myself mentally and just keeping going, I have to realize that I'm still doing the work, and I'm still getting that kind of a work in, whether, you know, when we're on a fire and we're hiking all day, or I'm in a pack all day long, rucking for 6 hours. And I think, oh, I didn't get a workout in, but just going, oh, you know what? I'm doing my job that I'm training for. You know, I'm hiking, I'm running, you know, like I said, if we're on incidents and doing the job, but not stressing out about not getting a workout. You know, psychologically, I get stressed out and kind of think I'm getting behind, but just kind of being a little more level-headed that this is the season we're in. This is what we train for. So, like, kind of like athletes in a season, this is when, you know, maybe some of the routine of the training in the gym, or, you know, garage gym, or your normal routine of runs and hikes and workouts, it's not what you're used to, but that's what you're training for. And this is it's still like, this is when it counts. You know, this is like the season, but it's a long season. It's not just an event. You know, we're talking a few months that it's just going to be this flexible, random, not knowing, you know, where we're going here and there. So yeah, kind of interesting.
That's a good way to look at it, man, as if an athlete in season, you know, really just focusing more on your recovery and making sure you're good to go each and every single day. Because I know if you zoom out to a 365-day time frame or window, you're hitting enough of a program, right? And so the in season, I think, is important, just to get the work done and stay injury free, like you're saying. I think that's really important. And one thing that we're actually putting out to EO3 coaches here in the next few months is our Otf template, which is just on the fly programming for exact situations like this. Maybe I can get you like an advanced copy of like a more rudimentary version, but that's what I've been formulating and developing when I do travel. And it's basically a way to follow more of our hard to kill programming track with just like this little card. It's like a grid, and the grid helps you program to make sure you're not missing anything, but it's just like a quick little one sheet, so you can keep track in a day and then make sure that you're hitting all those areas. And it's been really helpful and beneficial if I'm going to be traveling to where it's like, okay, no equipment this week or something like that. I can still cover at least the energy systems that I want and everything like that with our OTF template. So that's something to keep in mind. It sounds like you're doing a pretty good job of that already with planning out what you're going to hit on July 1.
Yeah. And that is kind of what I'm trying to be able to do. And just as you're talking about that, you know, and hopefully that's something that, you know, athletes on Garage Gym Athlete will be able to latch onto. I think that's like next level, like taking ownership of your training definitely is when it goes from just doing whatever it says on your phone. This is what I'm doing today, to actually understanding what you're trying to hit each day. Like you've talked about before, and scaling is, you know, what the stimulus is, what are you trying to accomplish, but become more mature as an athlete to where you can look at the day, look at what the goal was, pressing, pulling, deadlift, or conditioning day, whatever it is, and being able to adjust that for your personal life, for what you had that week. You know, again, like us, you know, maybe we were really exposed to a lot of smoke and everything for days on end, and, you know, our carbon monoxide levels get real elevated. It's not going to be, I don't even know what we would show up on a whoop on something like that. So, but being able to just be, you know, more intuitive as an athlete and taking ownership of your own programming and seeing what it is. I think that's like kind of the next level of being an athlete is understanding what you're doing and why you're doing it.
I completely agree, man. Well, let's wrap things up here. Now, if your answers have changed, or you could tell us again, I got to ask them either way. Hardest workout you've ever done?
Oh, hardest workout. Last time I said Arnie, and because that's the Arnie kettlebell workout, hero workout. I've done that one several times, but then after talking to you guys, I kind of was reminded. So my last day at my last camp, we just kind of you know, a lot of times guys on the last day, they'll get to pick the PT a lot of times. And so I had in my mind, I heard about this guy that used to work up at that camp like 20 years ago. He did this insane long runs and hikes. And so I wasn't really feeling it. The weather was bad. We had to run with beanies and everything else, but we hit just out of the gate, you know, really no prep. It's probably not the smartest thing to do, but it was definitely one of those like meet yourself moments. We hit I think it was a 13-mile trail run with like 4,000 foot elevation in it, kind of just mixed up random. That was a mental just gut punch the whole time.
That sounds like it, man.
That's like twice of the mountain race that I was thinking of doing.
It was like in my mind, I'm like, no, that was pretty good what I just accomplished, but it didn't feel like it. And I just remember we finished and chow was ready, and everybody just sat there and just looked at their food like nobody. Like, why did we even come to lunch? You know what I mean? So, but that was tough. That was tough.
Awesome, man. And now, in your opinion, what's the best activity for building mental toughness?
I'm going to stick with kind of what I said before. Mental toughness, I think it's just the long haul of doing the right thing, taking care of business, being that good example, but doing it for a long period of time, not being a hypocrite just because you don't want people to see you, but just because that's who you are. But that mental toughness, choosing the hard right over a long period of time.
Completely agree. Now, if you only have one piece of equipment to train with, what would it be?
Sandbags. Gonna go sandbag. That's all I need. And bands would be a close second, but if that's all I had, we'll get it done.
That's great. All right, Joe, are you going to ask your genie question?
I'm going to switch it up just because for this. If for your summer program, if there was one piece of equipment that you could either wish you could bring along to all this, or that your athletes would bring along, what would it be?
Ooh, I think it might be actually a sled. Like just thinking of going on just pushing and dragging. I don't know, some type of portable sled, just for increasing the load and just walking and pressing and pushing that thing around. Try that.
Yeah.
Two things you've mentioned on this podcast. That one, I wish we could program more, but we can't typically because of equipment and safety. But throwing and sleds. Like we don't program a lot of throwing because it just could get out of hand and people might start throwing the wrong things or bust a hole in their ceiling or whatever. But it's such a great movement. And also sleds, it's not as many people have them, so we don't program it. So we try and do it in other ways. But those two things, like throwing and like sled pushes or pulls, just absolutely amazing training.
I know we're finishing up, but I got to say, I incorporate those throws with the bags, and then the sleds, again, just trying to have to get creative. I'll find a lawn area and hook up any type of tie down and just put the strap over your shoulder, and you're dragging a sandbag like a sled, so you still pull, or, you spin around and drag it in reverse. So I kind of get sled work in just by dragging that kind of stuff, or fire station dragging hose.
Those bags, man. All right, I'm ordering a bag as soon as this podcast is over. All right, dude. Best advice for garage gym athletes out there, whether or not it's changed, man. What can you tell all the athletes out there?
Just have a program and have a plan, and just get after it. Once you got that plan, you just keep plugging away.
Awesome, Chris. Well, it's been great having you on for a reattack here. I really appreciate all the updates and for being a garage gym athlete, man.
Oh, thanks a lot, you guys. I'll talk to you again soon.
Mm-hmm.